Let's be honest, finding a job these days can feel like an uphill battle with no end in sight. You spend hours polishing your resume, crafting the perfect cover letter, and hitting that apply now button, only to be met with crickets. It's like shouting into a void, hoping for a response that rarely comes. The job hunt is supposed to be about opportunity, about matching your skills to the right position. Instead, it feels like a soul-crushing grind, leaving you questioning your worth and wondering if anyone is even out there listening. We've all been there, staring at job boards that seem to offer endless possibilities, yet somehow lead to the same dead ends. The worst part? This isn't just a personal struggle, it's a systemic issue, a broken system affecting millions of Americans. And it's time we start talking about it. We're sold this idea of a dynamic job market, a place where hard work and talent rise to the top. But the reality on the ground feels very different. It's like the communication channels are down, with job seekers left in a constant state of uncertainty. You apply for a job, completely confident in your qualifications, only to receive a generic rejection email weeks later. Or worse, nothing at all. Is it any wonder people are starting to question if these job postings are even real? It's like companies have forgotten that there are actual human beings on the other side of those applications, people with lives, bills, and dreams. People who deserve basic respect and communication. This isn't just about finding a job, it's about feeling seen and valued in a system that often makes you feel invisible. Let's face it, the job market can feel like a giant game of smoke and mirrors. You see a promising job posting, your heart skips a beat, you pour your energy into crafting the perfect application, and then, poof, it vanishes into thin air. You refresh job boards religiously, only to see the same positions reappear weeks, sometimes even months later. It's enough to make you wonder if these companies are actually hiring or just creating the illusion of opportunity. Are they stringing us along, hoping to collect a vast database of resumes for some future use? Or maybe they're trying to appease investors with the appearance of a growing company. Whatever the reason, it's a frustrating and demoralizing experience for job seekers. We're left feeling like cogs in a machine, our skills and experience reduced to mere data points in a corporate game. The worst part is the uncertainty. You're left wondering if you should hold out hope for that dream job or move on to other opportunities. It's a constant state of limbo, a game of chance where the odds seem stacked against you. One of the most disheartening trends is the rise of unpaid or low-paying internships, often disguised as entry-level positions. Companies dangle the promise of gaining valuable experience as a way to justify offering little to no compensation for actual work. It's a classic catch-22, you need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience. And for many, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, taking on an unpaid internship simply isn't financially feasible. This system disproportionately benefits those who can afford to work for free, often relying on family support or taking on significant debt. It perpetuates a cycle of inequality, making it even harder for those from less privileged backgrounds to break into their chosen fields. The reality is, gaining experience doesn't pay the bills. It's time to call out these exploitative practices for what they are. A way for companies to get free or cheap labor while shutting out talented individuals who can't afford to work for next to nothing. We need to demand fair compensation for all work, regardless of experience level. Another frustrating aspect of the modern job hunt is the sheer volume of data companies demand from applicants. You meticulously tailor your resume and cover letter to a specific position, only to be confronted with an online application form that requires you to re-enter all the same information. It's a tedious and time-consuming process that makes you question if anyone even bothered to read your carefully crafted documents in the first place. Are these companies genuinely interested in finding the best candidate, or are they simply looking for someone who can navigate a digital obstacle course? It's as if they've forgotten that behind every application is a real person with unique skills, experiences, and aspirations. We're not just data points on a spreadsheet. We're human beings with stories to tell and contributions to make. The irony is that this data-driven approach doesn't necessarily lead to better hiring decisions. In fact, it often screens out qualified candidates who don't fit neatly into predetermined boxes. It's time for companies to rethink their hiring processes and focus on what truly matters, finding the best person for the job, not just the person who can best navigate a digital maze. Adding insult to injury, many companies now rely on applicant tracking systems to filter resumes and rank candidates based on keywords and algorithms. While these systems can be helpful in managing large volumes of applications, they often prioritize technical skills over soft skills and can inadvertently screen out qualified candidates who don't use the right language in their resumes. It's like trying to have a conversation with a robot that only understands a limited set of commands. The problem is, these algorithms don't always reflect the nuances of human experience or the importance of factors like creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence. We're more than just a collection of keywords and data points. We're complex individuals with unique perspectives and talents that can't be captured in a standardized format. It's time for companies to recognize the limitations of these systems and find ways to incorporate human judgment and intuition back into the hiring process. We need to move beyond simply checking boxes and start looking at the whole picture, recognizing that the best candidate might not always be the one who perfectly matches a set of predetermined criteria. Remember the days when a firm handshake and a promise to be in touch actually meant something? Sadly, those days seem long gone in the age of digital ghosting. You send out your resume, full of hope and anticipation, only to be met with the deafening silence of an empty inbox. It's like sending a message into a black hole, your carefully crafted words disappearing into the abyss of cyberspace. The worst part is the not knowing. Did they receive your application? Are they still considering you? Or have you already been relegated to the no pile, lost in a sea of faceless applicants? This lack of communication creates a breeding ground for anxiety and self-doubt, leaving job seekers questioning their worth and wondering if they'll ever get a shot. It's a dehumanizing experience, reducing job seekers to mere numbers in a corporate algorithm. Whatever happened to basic courtesy and respect? A simple acknowledgement of receipt, a brief update on the hiring process. These small gestures can make a world of difference in easing the anxiety and uncertainty that come with the job hunt. If ghosting after an application is bad, ghosting after an interview feels like a whole new level of disrespect. You spend hours preparing, researching the company, practicing your answers, putting your best foot forward. The interview goes well, you feel a connection, you dare to hope, and then silence. Days turn into weeks, your follow-up emails go unanswered, and that initial spark of optimism slowly fades into disappointment and resentment. It's not just about the missed opportunity, it's about the emotional energy invested, and the feeling of being strung along with false hope. The interview process is a two-way street, and ghosting after an interview shows a blatant disregard for the time and effort candidates put into showcasing their skills and enthusiasm. It's a common refrain, "We'll be in touch." But those three little words have become meaningless, a hollow promise that often leads nowhere. Companies preach about the importance of communication, transparency, and respect, yet their actions during the hiring process often contradict these values. It's time to hold them accountable for their words and demand a more humane and respectful approach to candidate communication. The lack of closure is perhaps the most frustrating aspect of being ghosted by hiring managers. It's like a game of emotional limbo, where you're left hanging, unsure whether to move on or hold out hope. You check your phone compulsively, hoping for a response that never comes. Meanwhile, other opportunities might be passing you by as you cling to the slim chance of hearing back from that one company that seemed like a perfect fit. The uncertainty can be paralyzing, preventing you from fully investing in your job search and moving forward with confidence. It's like having a loose end you can't seem to tie up, a nagging doubt that lingers in the back of your mind. Job hunting is stressful enough without the added burden of unanswered questions and unresolved expectations. A simple thank you for your time, but we've decided to move forward with another candidate would suffice. It's not about being unkind. It's about providing closure and allowing candidates to move on with their job search without false hope or lingering uncertainty. Respectful communication is not a luxury. It's a basic courtesy that should be extended to everyone, especially those who have taken the time and effort to apply for a position. Beyond the practical implications, ghosting in the hiring process speaks to a larger issue: a lack of respect for job seekers as individuals. It's easy to forget that behind every resume, every cover letter, every interview, there's a real person with feelings, aspirations, and a need to earn a living. Treating candidates with radio silence reduces them to mere commodities, cogs in a machine rather than valued individuals contributing their skills and talents. This lack of respect has a ripple effect, eroding trust in the job market and creating a culture of cynicism and disillusionment. When companies consistently fail to communicate with candidates, it sends a message that they don't value their time, effort, or aspirations. It perpetuates a sense of power imbalance where companies hold all the cards and job seekers are left scrambling for scraps of information and validation. It's time for a fundamental shift in the way we approach hiring. Companies need to recognize that job seekers are not just applications to be processed, but individuals deserving of respect, transparency, and clear communication. A little empathy goes a long way, and treating candidates with the same courtesy and respect you would expect yourself can make a world of difference in creating a more humane and equitable job market. Let's talk about the application process itself, shall we? That labyrinth of digital hoops and hurdles designed to weed out candidates before they even have a chance to showcase their skills. It often feels like companies have gone out of their way to make the process as convoluted and time-consuming as possible. A digital maze designed to test your patience rather than your qualifications. You spend hours meticulously crafting the perfect resume and cover letter, tailoring your experience to the specific requirements of the job description. You click Apply Now, only to be greeted by a seemingly endless online application form that demands you re-enter all the same information already neatly presented in your carefully curated documents. It's enough to make you wonder if anyone even bothers to read those resumes and cover letters in the first place, or if they're simply sucked into a digital void, never to be seen by human eyes. Is it any wonder that so many talented individuals, particularly those from marginalized communities who may not have the time or resources to navigate these digital obstacle courses, simply give up in frustration? The irony is that this focus on standardized forms and automated processes often filters out the very creativity, ingenuity, and problem-solving skills that companies claim to value. It's a classic case of the medium becoming the message, with the application process itself sending a loud and clear message. We're more interested in your ability to follow instructions than your actual qualifications. Ah, the resume, that sacred document, meticulously crafted to showcase your skills, experience, and potential. We're told it's our ticket to success, the key that unlocks the doors of opportunity. Yet in the age of applicant tracking systems, or ATS, and keyword algorithms, the resume has become a paradox, a document designed to encapsulate the richness of human experience, forced to conform to the cold, hard logic of a machine. We're encouraged to use industry jargon and buzzwords, to quantify our accomplishments with data and metrics, to tailor our language to the specific algorithms used by different companies. The result? Resumes that read like they were written by robots for robots. We end up sacrificing clarity, personality, and even accuracy in a desperate attempt to appease the digital gatekeepers of the hiring process. It's a soul-crushing exercise in conformity, forcing us to contort our unique experiences into predetermined boxes and sacrificing authenticity for the sake of algorithmic approval. The irony is that these systems, designed to eliminate bias and streamline the hiring process, often end up perpetuating existing inequalities. After all, those who are most familiar with the language and expectations of these systems are often those who have had the most privilege and access in the first place. And then there are the dreaded checkboxes, those seemingly innocuous little squares that ask us to neatly categorize our skills, experience, and even our identities with a simple click. On the surface, they appear efficient, objective, and even inclusive, promising a level playing field where everyone is evaluated based on their qualifications. But the reality is far more insidious. By forcing complex human experiences into predefined categories, these checkboxes reduce us to a collection of data points, stripping away the nuances and complexities that make us who we are. They reinforce the idea that there's a right answer, a correct set of experiences and skills that companies are looking for, further marginalizing those who don't fit neatly into these predetermined boxes. The checkbox conundrum highlights a fundamental flaw in the way we approach hiring: the belief that we can quantify and categorize human potential with a few clicks of a mouse. It's time to move beyond this reductive approach and recognize that true talent often lies in the spaces between the checkboxes, in the unique blend of skills, experiences, and perspectives that defy easy categorization. Section 4. The Interview Circus. The interview process often feels like a high-stakes game where selling yourself trumps actual qualifications. We're bombarded with curveball questions and endless rounds of panel interviews, expected to maintain unwavering enthusiasm. It's time to rethink this performative aspect and focus on authentic, human-centered interactions. Section 1. The Disposable Workforce. Companies treat employees like disposable commodities, quick to cut ties at the first sign of inconvenience. This creates a toxic work environment where job security feels like a distant memory. Investing in employees' well-being and offering genuine job security benefits everyone in the long run. Section 2. The Loyalty Illusion. Today, loyalty feels like a one-sided arrangement where companies demand dedication but offer little in return. It's time for companies to recognize that loyalty is a two-way street, benefiting both employees and the business. In today's corporate landscape, profit often trumps employee well-being. This relentless focus on the bottom line creates a culture of fear and instability. Companies need to see employees as valuable assets to be invested in, not just expenses to be minimized. The consequences of this disposable workforce mentality extend far beyond individuals. Job loss leads to decreased consumer spending, hurting businesses and slowing economic growth. The emotional toll on individuals and families is immeasurable. Communities are torn apart as people relocate in search of work. We need a more humane economic system that values people over profits. It's time for a new era of shared prosperity. The consequences of a broken job market extend far beyond individual job seekers. When qualified individuals struggle to find work, it creates a drag on innovation and productivity. The human cost of this economic downturn is often overlooked in unemployment statistics. The skills gap often masks a disconnect between the skills employers need and the wages they're willing to pay. Companies lament the lack of qualified candidates while offering low wages and inadequate benefits. Closing the skills gap requires investing in employees and providing competitive compensation. A stagnant job market hinders innovation. When talented individuals are stuck in dead-end jobs, their creativity is stifled. We need to create an environment that encourages risk-taking and nurtures talent. Let's start with a radical concept: honesty. Companies post jobs that actually exist and be upfront about salary ranges and expectations. Transparency should be the cornerstone of your hiring process. Respond to applicants promptly and keep them informed throughout the hiring process. Let candidates know if you've decided to move forward with someone else. A little communication goes a long way in building trust and goodwill. It's time to bring back the human touch to the hiring process. Treat applicants with respect and courtesy. Personalize your communication and show genuine interest in their aspirations. Create a space for genuine conversation during interviews. Focus on understanding candidates' skills and motivations. An interview should be a two-way street. Companies, shift your mindset from short-term profits to long-term sustainability. Investing in your workforce is good for business. Provide opportunities for professional development and career advancement. Create a culture where employees feel empowered to share their ideas. Support employees during times of transition with generous severance packages and job search assistance. A company's true character is revealed in how it treats its people during challenging times. The American job market has lost its way. It's time for a fundamental shift in how we approach work and opportunity. This change requires a collective effort to challenge the status quo and demand better. It's time to move beyond rhetoric and acknowledge the systemic barriers preventing many from reaching their full potential. To job seekers weary from navigating this broken system, remember this. Your worth is not defined by the number of applications you submit, the interviews you endure, or the rejections you receive. Your value extends far beyond the confines of a job description or the whims of an algorithm. You bring to the table a unique combination of skills, experiences, and perspectives that have the power to shape the world around you. Don't let the dehumanizing aspects of the job hunt diminish your sense of self-worth or extinguish your passion. Embrace your strengths, celebrate your accomplishments, and never stop learning, growing, and pursuing your goals. Connect with others, share your stories, and build a community of support. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. And to the companies, the hiring managers, the gatekeepers of opportunity, it's time to step up and do better. The future of our economy, our communities, and our collective well-being depends on it. Embrace honesty, transparency, and a human-centered approach to hiring. Invest in your workforce, nurture their talents, and create a culture where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered to thrive. Remember, a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's work together to create a job market that works for everyone.